Welcome to the learners and viewers of today's discussion on the subject consumer protection legislation in the pre-independence era. As we all should know, that Consumer Protection Act is one single legislation for which is meant for protecting the interests of the consumer and also give rights to seek for remedies and various other aspects. This is what the entire act is in a detailed manner covered under our certificate course on consumer protection, but we have 3 courses. However, there are several other legislation related to the consumer protection. So today we are going to see those legislations and period to the independence. Other than the Consumer Protection Act, which are the legislation which are related to the consumer protection, is divided under 2 parts. One is the legislation belongs to the before the pre-independence era, and the legislation passed by the parliament after the post-independence period. So that for the convenience sake. So in today's lecture, we will concentrate only on the laws related to the Consumer Protection Act. At the same time, consumer protection past period to the Independence Act. Now, let me very briefly tell you, list out what are the acts that are passed before the independence. Again, there are several legislations. It is not possible to cover or discuss each and every legislation. However, of the several legislation, we will take only important legislations which are having direct impact or relation to the consumer protection or the consumer regulation. This is therefore, let me make it very clear at the beginning itself, whatever the laws listed here, they are not the complete by itself. There are several legislations that we are not unable to take it due to various time constraint mainly. Now, let us take one after the other. The first and foremost legislation past period to the independence related to the consumer protection is the Indian Contract Act, first year in the year 1870 by the Britishers. Now, Indian Contract Act is not only related and applicable to the consumer and consumer interest, but it is applicable to for all the business transaction. Contract is essential element for each and every business transaction. Not only business transaction, we as an individual, we unknowingly, unconsciously enter into several contractual obligations and dealings. Just to give an example, those who come to the office or go to the office by public transport like metro or any other mode, that let me take the example of metro. When you want to come to the office, you board the metro and you have the monthly pass or so, then you come to the designated station, you get down and go to the office. It's your routine, but there is the contract is completed in your journey. Let me explain by saying, when you board the train, when you metro, that means that you enter into the metro station, that necessarily means you have the willingness to board the train, necessity to board the train. The second one is, then by virtue of the metro stopping in that particular station, they come for willing to stop that particular train in that particular platform. That is called the acceptance. Then you have the pay the price, that's by way of monthly say pass, which is the price for your journey. Then that the price is another consideration, and then when you get down from this thing, that you performed all the obligations, the contract is complete in a nutshell in every day. Now, this I will explain with the help of by going to the further in details. Now, what are the important concepts say one should know in the entire Indian Contract Act? There are the important concepts are offer, acceptance, consideration, competency entered into contract, agreement, of course, which must be valid agreement. Then what are the essential elements of valid contract, then the types of contract, then the breach of contract. These are the important key one should know. Now, let me very briefly explain you about each and every one. Offer means the person who wanted to make purchase or make a dealing, he offers his willingness to purchase that particular commodity or the goods. That's what. So offer is there nothing but an expression of the willingness of the person concerned to purchase any goods or hire the service. That's what, very simple. Now, acceptance. Once the offer is made, then it is to the other person concerned. Then to the person to whom the goods want to, the person, the offerer, the person who makes the offer is called the offerer. Then he makes an offer to the other person called is an acceptor. Then other person to whom the offer is made, he should come forward or accept the offer made by the person. That is called the acceptance. Now, let me take a very example. Now, we wanted to purchase a car. So, when we go to the showroom, we make an offer to the dealer sitting there that I wanted to purchase this car. That is, you are making an offer. Then what the dealer does, he comes to you and help you. Okay, madam, we are ready and help you. We are ready to sell the vehicle. So the dealer, by way of coming and transacting with you, he is accepting your offer. So you are making an offer to purchase, and the dealer is making acceptance to sell this offer. So the requirement of offer by the offerer is complete, then the acceptance by the dealer is completed. Then third requirement, the consideration. Consideration, nothing but the price that is fixed for the for the purchase of the car or purchase car is concerned. So here again, the price refers to the price at they say whatever it is given in the pamphlet or in the advertisement, that is the price. What are the accessories we add, that may not come under the category that this price consideration. Consideration, the price that is fixed for the against the commodities concerned, that is the consideration. Now again, most importantly, the consideration must be adequate. Adequate means inadequate consideration will not become part of the valid contract. What is valid consideration? What is an invalid consideration? See, when we purchase a Bisleri bottle from the market, we pay 20 rupees. I'll take another example to make you to understand very easily what is it considered. But we get drinking water from our taps every day, and we get hundreds of liters every day, and if you work it out, 30 days it will be thousands of liters. What is the water tax we are paying? It is nominal, few hundreds. So when you compare the price that we are paying to the shopkeeper for the purchase of Bisleri for the drinking, vis-a-vis a comparison with the water we get in our tap, if you see that, you will find the difference between the price that we pay to the shopkeeper and the price we pay to the municipal authorities. Therefore, if you talk about the consideration, the consideration is adequate in the case of the Bisleri water. In the case of the water we get by paying the municipal water charge to the municipal, there is no adequate consideration. Meaning thereby, if there is any delay or even there is even the municipal authorities for one reason or other fail to supply water, perhaps we cannot file a case against the municipal authorities, because the reason is very simple. We are paying very, very nominal consideration vis-a-vis the market rate is concerned. So therefore, with the view to bring a contract enforceable, the consideration that the price we pay must be very, very adequate. Then competency to enter into contract, very, very important. No, all person cannot be entered into the contract. A person must have the competency, must be above the major adult person only. The reason is very simple. Minor, a child is not in a position to understand the consequences of the business transaction. That is the reason why the contract held with the minor is not a competency, is not competent to enter into the contract. Like otherwise, no, a lunatic, yes, insane person, a person under the intoxicant, the liquor or any other heavy drugs. These people cannot enter into contract for the simple. The contract entered by these people, lunatic, or the person under influence of liquor, then they lose their balance of mind. So therefore, any agreement entered during this status of intoxication, or when he is a insane person or the concern, that we cannot consider as a valid contract. It will become invalid because of they are not competent to enter into contract. Then what is agreement? Agreement is nothing but of the conclusion of the offer and agreement with the consideration and the competency to enter into contract. If all these requirements are fulfilled, it is an agreement. Now, what are the essential elements of the valid contract? Now, as I said, there must be a valid offer. There must be valid acceptance. That means, I'll give an example. Again, There must be offer, it should be valid, it is lawful object. The offer should be, the object of transaction must be lawful. Lawful object should be there. For instance, we cannot enter into agreement to take away the life of another person. That is not a contract, because it is contrary to the provisions of the law. So therefore, whenever you make an offer and acceptance, it should be within the legal framework. Unlawful offer, unlawful acceptance cannot become the valid contract. In other words, any transaction entered between the parties, that must be very lawful within the contours of the law or legal provision. Any agreement reached between the parties to do an act which is prohibited under the law, that will not become the valid contract. So these are the essential valid contracts concerned. Now let us say very briefly about what are the types of contract. There are void contract, voidable contract, valid contract. Valid contract I will discuss with you. Now what is void contract? There are contract which are void from the very beginning itself. That those types are that they are void contracts which are not all contracts in the eyes of law. For example, any contract entered between the parties contrary to the provisions of the law, that is a void contract. For example, suppose somebody comes to say make an agreement to say loss or damage to the nation's property, or if they enter in the contract, to cause loss or damage to any other important, say, institutional mechanism of the nation is concerned, definitely will be a void contract. Now, what is voidable contract? Voidable contract is void from the point of view of one person and voidable at the option of the other person. The best example could be a minor, as I said, may not enter into contract. However, if the contract is entered by a minor, if the minor is ready to perform his obligations, then it will become valid contract. That's what the value. That means the voidable contract will become valid only if in the option, if by the option exercised by the other party was not competent to enter in the contract. Then breach of contract will refers to if any of the conditions are not fulfilled, it amounts to breach of contract. Then the legal recourse available in this is concerned. The another important legislation related to the consumer protection passed before the independence is the Sale of Goods Act, passed in the year 1930. This Sale of Goods Act is very, very important for the business community. Whatever, because in the every day they have to sell the goods, sale and purchase the goods is the essential requirement for every business concerns. Therefore, that when they make the sale and purchase very frequently in a large scale, then these such type of sales and purchase should be regulated. So, with a view to regulate the sale of goods and purchases for the purpose of protecting the interests of buyers and sellers, that is the primary objective of the Sale of Goods Act is concerned. Let me just repeat it to make you to understand. The primary purpose and objective of the Sale of Goods Act is to regulate the sale of goods and also protect the interests of both buyers and sellers. That is the main objective of this act is concerned. Now, we will not go to the entire provisions of it, but we will see the important provisions or the important concepts used in this, one should remember in this legislation concern. Now, there are two types of sales. When we talk about the sale, there are two types of sale. One is the sale and the another one is agreement to sale. The sale is it's a perfect, where perfect sale takes place between the buyer and seller by paying the required consideration or the amount is concerned. So, when the three requirements are fulfilled, like there must be a person to purchase the goods, there must be a seller to sell the goods, then agree to say there must be a price fixed on that goods. If all these three things are takes together fulfilled, then it is the sale or for perfect sale is concerned. Whereas in the case of agreement to sale, all the three requirements are not fulfilled, because this is the agreement to sell for the future date. The sale is about the present. When we talk about the sale takes place at on the present currently. That is the sale. But if any party come to an understanding, an agreement with the intention to sell the produce at the market at a future date, then it will be an agreement to sell. For example, agricultural produce, say the grapes or the mangoes or any other, even the paddy like a basmati and all, when they are in the field in the ripe season, then the farmer as well as seller, they come into negotiation. They come and agree that by seeing the cultivation, before the harvesting season or before the harvest takes place, they come to an agreement wherein the producer, whether it's a grape grower or the mango grower or paddy grower, they make their offer to sell these commodities to a trader, middleman, whoever it may be. So, but actually the product will be harvested after a couple of months or 3 or 4 months. But before that, they enter in an agreement that wherein there will be agreement and understanding, or even in the binding nature. That is very important. That the buyer, the producer of the mango or the grape, he agrees to sell his grape or mango, as the case may, to the trader, to the named therein, at a future date. So here there is no sale actually immediately, but they agree because the trader wanted that, he wanted to be sure of that the mango is made available to him at the time of harvest. If he goes on the date of harvest, he may not get the produce. Therefore, for the convenience of the trader, and also similarly the grape grower also wanted to ensure that there is a buyer, seller, the buyer available for him, because on the date of harvest he cannot go on searching for the buyer and all. So it's for the convenience of both buyer and the seller that they agree to sell at a future date. So sale is the sale taking place on the date currently or the presently, whereas the agreement to sell is for a sale agreement to sell the product at a future date. I think you must have got the concept very clearly. Now other major concepts are that there are conditions and warranties connected with this sale and agreement to sell. Now, what is condition, what is a warranty? Condition is a stipulation which is very, very essential for the performance of the contract. Warranty is not, it's analogous to, or it's not very important for the performance of the contract. For example, conditions, this may be let me take some grower and let me say mango and grape. Mango and grapes are, let me take a grape. Grape, in a way, it's a perishable commodity. You cannot, unless have the processing equipment, you cannot retain for a longer period, suppose. Now, if the agree conditions, the buyer and the seller, they agree that the product should be handed over to the buyer on the date of harvest only. If not, this is whether it's a condition or not. Because it is a condition, because it's a perishable in nature. Therefore, if any condition is, if any stipulation mentioned in that, the producer should hand over this grape immediately after harvest, then otherwise it will not be taken by the buyer and all, then it becomes the essential condition. If it is not handed over to the buyer on the same day as per the stipulation, well, the buyer can say, sorry, I am not going to purchase because I don't have the equipment in your paddy for storing it and all. So then there may be the contract, may be the breach of contract. So what is condition is? Condition is a stipulation which is very, very essential for the performance of the contract, that is the obligation of the rights and obligations of the parties concerned. Whereas warranty is not like that. Warranty is ancillary to the conditions. A warranty or any breach of warranty may not lead to cancellation of the contract, whereas if the conditions are violated or the stipulations are violated, definitely the other person, in the case of this example, the buyer can say that I am going to terminate the contract. So violation of the conditions may lead to breach of the contract or cancellation of contract, whereas in the case of warranties, warranty may not lead to cancellation of contract and all. Warranty is the additional guarantee or the additional guarantees given to the person parties concerned. So that is what. Then there are different things are there. Then what type of things are there? Condition warranties. Implied undertaking as to the title. Sometimes it is not, everything cannot be stipulate in the contract. So there must, by way of implication, the title will be understood by the implication only. the implication is with regard to the condition warranty is concerned. Suppose implied undertaking as to the title, that will be there will, even though it is not clearly mentioned what is the title of the goods or what is the other things are there, it will by implication it will drawn what is the nature of the goods or title of the goods, that will be inferred. Then another requirement is the sale by description. Again, sale at times it may be very difficult to briefly explain all by sale and all. By a description is sufficient. Description of the commodity to be sold, description of the commodity to be purchased, that is sufficient. The naming itself is not necessary. That is what the sale by description. Then implied condition as to the quality of the fitness. Sometimes I say that it is not necessary to list out all the conditions are required and all. Sometimes the conditions will be by implication one can understand with regard to the quality of the quality and fitness concern. If this is not also clearly mentioned, but by way of inference one can find out what are the things very essential to ensure the quality or what are the essential quality to maintain the fitness of the commodity. Then sometimes the sale by sample also. But at the time of sale, you need not see everything. By sample, sometimes they say they see the sample. Based on the sample, they determine this is the quality I wanted. This is the size or in the terms of size, all those things, the grading and all. So therefore, sale by sample at the time of actual delivery, if there is a difference in the sample and the sale of actual product, well, that became a point of dispute also. Then the law provided for the remedies for the buyers as well as the sellers. And one or two things should be kept in mind. Any sale and purchase by way of sale of good by barter system, that will not come under the definition of sale is concerned. So the sale of goods for the against another goods, that will not come under the definition of the sale of goods is concerned. So this is what in a very essential about the important provisions of the sale of goods act is concerned. Then when we talk about the goods, we are talking about the existing goods. That is very, very important. And if we will, when the goods refer to existing goods as well as the future goods only, those things to be kept in mind. This is what in a nutshell about the Sale of Goods Act is concerned. The next important law related to the consumer protection passed before the independence is the Aggregate Produce Grading and Marking of Act 1937. No, in the aggregate products, grading and marking is very, very important. I talked about the mango, I talked about the grape. There are different marking or there are different grading. If you go to the market, you ask for the mangoes, there will be different mangoes. Your type of mango will get a fetch of maybe a 1 kilo 300 or 400. Some mango you may get it even for 100 rupees. Some mango you may get it even for 50 rupees. What is the reason? It is because of the grading and marking of the quality of the product also. Therefore, grading and marking of the quality based on the quality is very, very important for the purpose of sale and purchase of agricultural products. Rice, for example, basmati rice for certain very high qualities. Whereas ordinary rice, there are very low prices, very, very low. What is the reason? Same product is the same. And the purpose is also the same, but why one commodity is priced at a higher rate, why another one priced at the lower rate? It is because of the grading and marking schedule. Therefore, to regulate for the grading and marking of agricultural produce, not only agriculture, allied produce also covered under this act is concerned. Now, one should understand what is the meaning of agricultural produce. Agricultural produce includes all produce of agriculture or horticulture and articles of food or drink, wholly or partly manufactured from any produce and any skin of the animals also. Any produce made like shoes and all also. Shoes are made of the skins of the animals only. Belt, whatever you use it, leather bags, all those things are also covered in the definition of the agricultural produce only. Now, what are the important provisions? The law provided for fixation of a grade designations to indicate the quality of any scheduled article. That is the provision the act is concerned. So first is fixation of grade designations. That is very, very important. That is provided under the law. Then specification of grade designation marks to represent particular grade designation. Then regulation of the marking and the manner of marking an article. That is important. Another regulation of the marking and manner of marking an article. Then confiscation and disposal of produce marked otherwise than in accordance with the prescribed conditions with the grade designation mark. Suppose anybody use the unlawful method or ways contrary to the provision law for marking and grading and all, then the power is vested upon the authority concerned to confiscate such goods and all. So these are important provisions of the Act is concerned. Now we move on to another important act, Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940. Again, the objective is to seek and to protect the rights of the consumer of drugs and cosmetics. This relates to drugs and cosmetics act only. The objective is very restrictive. The primary objective is to ensure that the drugs and cosmetics are of the required standard of quality, purity and potency, and are packed in containers listing the necessary information about them and their manufacture. So the purpose to ensure the drugs and cosmetics contain the required quality standards prescribed by the concerned regulating authority. Now, what are the important provisions for the law is concerned? The primary job of the Act is to the regulation of the import, manufacture, distribution and drugs of the cosmetics. So whatever the goods are manufactured or import from other countries and also the distribution of sale and the drugs are covered under the regulatory framework of this Act is concerned. Then the law also provided for comprehensive measures to have uniform control on the manufacture and distribution of drugs, including import. No, even though we go to the, say, pharmaceutical goods and all, for a particular, say, issue, we have different type of for headache. We have different tablets, anacin or different type of things are there. But even though we have the different, type of tablets, but what is the standards or the particles, what are the essential ingredients, that will be the same. You go to the shopkeeper, the medical store itself, if you ask for a particular, say tablet, he may say, sir, this tablet is not available. However, we have another tablet in another brand, but it contains all the essential elements of that, elements which are possessed by the drug that is informed by you also. So the objective is that provide comprehensive measures to have uniform control on the manufacture and distribution of drugs is very, very important. So we have the imported goods, but they should have the requirements, the essential ingredient must be the same, but in order to, the job of this Act is to check all those things only. Then the coverage of this, the drugs used or prepared in account the different types of medicines, including allopathy, Ayurvedic, Siddha and Unani, these things are covered, and this also includes cosmetic, including toilet soaps. These things are covered under this concern. Then all drugs have to conform the standards prescribed in the second schedule of the Act is that's okay. Then the power to regulate the manufacture of sale, distribution of drugs and cosmetics have been conferred upon the state government. The power to the regulations with the state government. However, the central government may impose prohibition against import in public interest. So these are the important aspects about this Act is concerned. Now we are having to another, the last slide is concerned, the Indian Penal Code. That is it's related to the offences committed with the person concerned. This we discuss only three sections are we are dealing with. That is the offence related to the false weights and measures. That is one of the offence covered under the Indian Penal Code's concern. So it is related to the consumer related matter. False weights and measures, if anybody under False and Weights and Measures Act, then that will be an offence. Then public health related aspects, adulteration of food or drinks intended for the sale. If anybody indulge in adulteration of food, then they will be punished as per the law. Then adulterated drugs, if anybody indulge in adulteration of drugs, they will be punished as per the law. Sale of noxious food or drink also covered under the law's concern. And finally, anybody try to cheat or cheats other person concerned, the cheating is also covered under this. So these are the broader elements covered under the Indian Penal Code is concerned. With this, we conclude our discussion on this important subject, consumer protection legislation in the pre-independence era. I request all the viewers and learners to please refer to the material for other detailed matters. Thank you very much, please.